It's the Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from the Hobbit Hole studio on a sunny, autumnal feeling day in Bobcaygeon. Jim is still not present. The fold-away chair in the corner awaits you, my good friend Jim. I like reading. I like reading a lot of non-fiction. I like reading fiction too, especially when it is a metaphor for things really happening. I like the book Tale of Two Cities because it contrasts two places, two times, and that compare and contrast is something that as a student of history that I love to do, comparing people, places, times, situations, seeing if there is any relationship, any lesson to be learned from the past. I would like to use A Tale of Two Cities as a metaphor and call it, I'm going to change the title and explore it a bit, A Tale of Two Generals, a compare and contrast episode of Chief of Staff of the U.S. military, General Mark Milley, who was appointed chair of the Chief of Staff under Trump, but whose attempt to make sense of Trump during his tenure working with the Trump administration was fraught with perils of unparalleled danger for America, the experiment in democracy, America, land of the free, under Trump. All of that has come to bear in a recent article published in Atlantic.com about Mark Milley, and he's been doing some interviews, and I watched one in particular that caught my attention. And the subtitle of this it's on YouTube. Maybe I'll put the link below. From the Atlantic, quote, How General Mark Milley Protected the Constitution from Donald Trump. That's one general. The second general is, of course, the QAnon conspiracy master making the rounds on the MAGA white nationalist banner of crazy talk, and that is retired Lieutenant General, I think is his actual rank, Michael Flynn. And to compare and contrast those two is to say one saw his job and duty to protect America from Trump. The other saw his job and duty to overturn America for Trump. A study in contrast, A Tale of Two Generals, Mark Milley and Michael Flynn. So what am I saying? I mean, I'm a student of history. I love history. I'm not a specialist in American history, but I do love American politics. I think it's more exciting than Canadian politics. Maybe it's more exciting just because we're a tiny fraction of America. We are a microcosm of similar values, similar culture, but Canada's different. We still maintain a far more, do I say British outlook? Does that permeate anything? Is it a European, continental European? Is there a French flavor to all this thing? As in égalité, fraternité, equalité, all that, the symbols of the French Revolution. Where am I going with all this? I'm just saying one general saw a duty to protect America and to defend the Constitution. The other seemed to be bent on reshaping America according to the will of a despot. Despot? Is that the right word for Trump? There are many words I could think of, but let's just go there and say somebody who thinks he can shape America in his own will. Only I can fix it was one of Trump's most famous sayings, his expressions. And I think there's even a book written about the Trump administration called Only I Can Fix It. And of course, if the I in the title is indicative of anything, it's indicative of narcissism. It's the belief that you are the only one. Perhaps it is even messianic. I mean, how many evangelical Christian leaders prayed for Trump, laid hands on him? I don't know if they sprinkled holy water from the River Jordan on him, but he was certainly baptized by the Southern Baptist and certainly rose in status by those who were seeking to overturn Roe versus Wade as the ultimate evil in America, in American culture. And it was celebrated. Trump was celebrated with his single-minded vision of what he wanted to shape America to become. The only I can fix it. Yeah, well, when you find people who are willing to enable that narcissism and that corruption, then you got a problem. And fortunately, in this little exploration, A Tale of Two Generals, Mark Milley versus Michael Flynn, and you can do your own. You don't have to buy books. I tend to buy books that represent the contrasting views and the compare and contrast notes. Ones that are explaining things one way, books that might explain it another way, offering insight. The goal is knowledge. The goal is to apprehend as close as you can get to truth and fact, and separate fiction. We've all heard rumors of things that go on in back rooms. Michael Wolff's book, and I'm thinking of him sitting in the hallways outside of Trump's office and just overhearing casual snippets of conversations and being granted some unprecedented access to Trump. Why would Trump want to give access to a reporter? Because he's full of himself. And you can never talk about yourself too much if you're inclined that way. So, yeah, a number of books. Fear, I think, was one of them. I think I've got it here. Oh, Fear is by Bob Woodward. I thought it was by Wolff. Fear is by Bob Woodward, and I've got a copy of that one here. A number of books that I purchased during the Trump years to try to explain things, but I'm going to link this all to the article in Atlantic.com that just came out, and Milley's on some kind of a talking circuit at the moment, I think. But the striking contrast for me is a couple of things. I was going to say two things, but one of them was the visit to, I think it's St. John's Church in Washington, where Trump held up the Bible, didn't seem to know which way it was oriented, and walked with the head of his cabinet, walked with Mark Esper and Mark Milley. Mark Milley was called to do this photo op. This was at a time when there were protests about the murder of George Floyd, and there was a lot of civil unrest, and it was outside the White House, I'm thinking. And Trump wanted this photo op, so he called together, and Mark Milley was called from a meeting he was supposed to attend, and he showed up in his military fatigues, which in a democracy you don't usually do. That sort of says ready for action, and I'm in my military defend America mode. And that's what Trump wanted to convey. Trump was in control. Trump ordered the gas canisters to disperse the crowd, walked boldly, proudly, brazenly, confrontationally to the church, having it all cleared away by police and horses, and then had his photo up in front of the church. Mark Milley, as the reporting is this morning, had muttered under his breath to Mark Esper, "I've had enough of this stuff." And that was one. When I saw it unfolding, I thought, this is it. America has now gone full dictator. And I was worried. That was one moment. The other moment is, of course, would Trump leave the White House? Having lost the election, would he leave? And to hear Mark Milley's, not plans so much as his resolve to make sure there was a peaceful transition of power. When we saw his response to January 6th, Mark Milley simply raised the question. The commander-in-chief said nothing. Zero. That is most damning for Trump. And the other event that really got me, I didn't really know about this, but when Mark Milley was appointed chief of staff, there was some kind of special presentation, and Mark Milley decided to have this wounded veteran of 5 campaigns, very severely injured, a Marine, I believe, gave the singing of, I'm thinking it was the national anthem, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, he did the presentation of some either America the Beautiful or the national anthem, and Trump congratulated the Marine and then turned to Mark Milley, and within earshot of others, so it is documented, said, never have that fellow again. I mean, never have. It's a bad look to have wounded soldiers on a stage, on a center stage. Bad look. What? And that's sort of this tale. Where do we go from there? We go to Michael Flynn, who, with Ginny Thomas, goes down the rabbit hole of QAnon, up on stage on many church rallies, many of the Women for Trump rallies. We have General Michael Flynn, who's gone down so deep down a rabbit hole, I'm not sure he can see the light of day. And will there be charges for him? Remember, he was already charged in the first roundup of the Mueller report. But I'm thinking that there will be more, and perhaps there will be other instances where he might give an account for how he enabled and almost created the perfect storm to overturn a legal election. There you go. A tale of two generals. This morning from the Hobbit Hole studio, from someone who doesn't really study military history, but I thought, this is an interesting thing because it was in the news. And the title of the Jim and Terry Show is Have You Heard? Well, if you haven't, check it out for yourself. Look into General Mark Milley, who protected America, or General Michael Flynn, who, in my opinion, has lost his way from what used to be a storied career in the military intelligence community to aiding and abetting an insurrection. A tale of two cities, a tale of two generals. The Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from the Hobbit Hole. Take care. Bye-bye for now.